This is Sense of Life, Season 2, Episode 2. We're talking about two Ken Russell movies. I'm Cody.
And
I
I'm
almost
Joe.
forgot to introduce us.
Yeah.
Two Ken Russell movies. A little bit about Ken Russell. He is a British kind of art director. That is to say, a director of art movies, not a advertising art director. I don't know if that was clear, but he's best known for pretty famous kind of horror, kind of not movie called The Devils with Oliver Reed and Vanessa Redgrave. It's a little bit hard to come by sometimes. I caught it on Shudder in a kind of weird transfer for it. It's a really cool movie about a priest that gets Me Too'd, and it's awesome. Yeah. It's got a bunch of nuns that get really horny and then blame this charismatic priest for their sexual depravity. And then he gets burned at the stake.
Oh.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's not really the point of the movie, but that is what happens. And that is also the movie, since we talked about Three Musketeers, where Cardinal Richelieu is one of the main villains. Although, maybe not, but he's there.
He's there. He's hanging out.
And Ken Russell's one of those guys that, watching one of his movies is a shock to the system if you're not ready for it, which I forgot about when I first sprang the first movie, which I think I want to talk about the second movie we watched before the first one, because I kind of have less to say about it.
I don't know if I have much to say about either, to be honest. So this might be a Cody heavy episode.
That's fair. So the two movies we watched were Crimes of Passion from 1984 and The Lair of the White Worm from 1988. We'll start with the second one. It's got Hugh Grant. That's cool.
Right. Yeah. It's got a guy whose name I can't remember. Peter Capaldi. He played Doctor Who.
Yeah.
He played the Doctor, I guess is the. I don't fucking know anything about this British shit. I'm gonna be straight with you. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, this movie's very British and pretty bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Although Peter Capaldi's character is a Scottish guy named Angus Flint.
Yeah,
and it seems his entire character is that he's a Scottish guy. He's there and he's being Scottish.
Yeah, and so Scottish, in fact, that by the end, when they have to... Okay, real quick synopsis of what this is. It's based on a supposedly really bad Bram Stoker novel. Just nothing about this movie should or does work.
It shouldn't work, and surprise, surprise, it didn't.
It doesn't. It's about this... I don't fucking know. This woman in this area where they worship the killing of a snake. She worships the snake, but it's actually a pagan god that was the serpent that was in Eden that tempted Eve. And she has snake powers.
Yeah,
it's really retarded.
That's basically the entire plot of the movie. Is the main villain is this lady who wants to resurrect or not even resurrect. I think it's not even dead. She's just sacrificing people to it. It's this giant snake that's just underground in Scotland because apparently that's where the Garden of Eden was or something.
Yeah.
Or he just went to Scotland. He being the snake.
Yeah, something like that. And there's this whole thing of everyone that lives in this area is the Hugh Grant character is in the family of the knight that slayed the serpent or whatever. I don't know.
I didn't even remember that part.
I think That seems right.
That makes sense. His character does have Lord in his character name on the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So,
Hugh Grant's always nice to watch. He's funny. This movie's really bad, though. It's not really much to say about it. This might be a short episode, guys.
yeah, I guess talk about some of the highlights of the movie. Not because
Yeah.
they're good, but just because they made me laugh. Uh, the highlight of the movie for me was like the sequence near the end when one of the main characters is, I think her name was Eve. She was the blonde haired one with the short hair. She's like being chased by this cop that has been turned into one of these like snake people.
Yeah.
And the cop,
lazy eye.
Yeah. His character's name was Ernie, and he was a cop, and he's like he's there throughout the movie, and he seems like a pretty nice guy. He's just like this fat cop with a lazy eye to make the least flattering description of the character. And, and near the end of the movie, it's like, oh, he's one of these snake worshipping people, and he's like chasing after her, and he's got these big fake fangs and like red eyes, and naturally one of the eyes is lazy, as it were, and he's like chasing her around, and there's like a thing that they established earlier that the snake people can be charmed like a real snake with the fucking snake charmers, like like playing a song to like charm a snake. So like,
and he somehow has like fucking speakers on top of his castle.
Just insane. And all of a sudden, this Angus guy, Peter Capaldi's character, just comes out blasting bagpipes, and wearing a kilt as well, because he's the Scottish character. Angus is out here playing the bagpipes, wearing a kilt. The most stereotypical fucking Scottish character you could possibly make.
Yeah,
and Ernie starts slowly chasing him, but like he can't get near him because the bagpipe music. But he picked like the shittiest instrument to like try and charm someone that's trying to murder you, because I guess blowing air into a bagpipe takes a lot of breath, and he like it gets to a point where he can't play anymore.
Yeah. Anyone that's played a wind instrument knows what that's like.
Yeah, and he like he tries to attack him, and he knocks over Ernie. And he falls onto, I don't even know what the hell he fell onto. Some sort of spike, and it like went through his head and poked his eyeball out, and his eyeball was on the end of the thing. And that was like, I was like, okay, that was kind of cool. That was kind of a cool effect, I guess. That was like the only part of the movie that was particularly interesting, besides like the actual finale, where like the main snake worshipping lady, whose name is Sylvia, I might add.
Yeah. Sylvester. No, wait. I'm thinking of Salazar Slytherin.
Yeah.
From Harry Potter.
I was thinking of Sylvester the cat from Looney Tunes.
Yeah. But Sylvester's a good snake name. If I had a snake, I'd name him Sylvester.
Yeah, fair enough.
We'll need to tell Cass when she gets her fifth snake, whatever. Name it Sylvester.
So, she has like both of the main female characters like trapped in this little set. It honestly looks like a set from like like an old episode of like the original series of Star Trek. Like it's supposed to be a cave, but it's very clearly like a set. And
I kind of like that aspect of it.
I was going to say, not that's a bad thing, because I really like the original series of Star Trek. So it's the aesthetic of it was like, oh, it's very clearly fake, but it's like it's a piece of art in that sense, in that they had to construct an entire fake cave with like a big pit in the middle.
Yeah, it's a very like Hammer horror kind of thing.
Yeah, that too.
And this movie is like further proof of the my belief that horror comedy is a bad genre generally.
Yeah. It did have a similar kind of color palette to like what you expect from Hammer horror.
Yeah.
Although I think Hammer horror is a bit older than this movie. This was almost the
90s.
Yeah,
yeah. But I feel like because Ken Russell's British,
right,
and he would have been alive when Hammer was around, so I think I think he might be pulling like a sort of Polanski parody, because Polanski did a parody of Hammer called The Fearless Vampire Killers.
Okay.
Not sure if that movie is any good, but it's the one he did before Chinatown, I believe. No, that's What. What's really bad. Yeah.
The finale of the movie was, I guess, it made me laugh because of how absurd it was. Because like Angus gets captured, but before he gets captured by this snake lady, you see him like inject himself with this needle, and you're like, oh, what the hell was that? And then he gets like bit on the knee, and she like drags him down to her lair to witness this like sacrifice of like the female lead to be sacrificed to the serpent. She's like dangling over, I guess it was actually her sister. The sister wasn't as prominent of a character, and she was the one that was going to be sacrificed. And she's like dangling over this pit, and then you see the puppet of the serpent down below, like slowly creeping up, trying to like, eat her.
Right.
And they like knock the snake lady into the pit. And just for good measure, Angus, the Scottish kilt wearing bagpipes player, pulls out a fucking like hand grenade and just chucks it down into the fucking snake's mouth.
Yeah, he has a hand grenade for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I don't think there was ever a point earlier in the movie where he was like, "Oh, I have a hand grenade, guys."
It's definitely not Chekhov's hand grenade. Yeah, it's just there.
It just shows up. If you don't invent a hand grenade by the third act, then if you don't materialize a hand grenade out of nowhere in the third act, then is your movie even good?
If you throw a hand grenade in a forest and no one's around to hear it, does it really blow up?
Exactly.
Another thing is there's a lot of these like dream sequences that happen whenever people get in contact with like the snake venom.
Yes.
There's like nuns getting raped by Roman soldiers. There's one where I don't know if this is connected, but there was like no. There's like a whole sequence where someone's watching a commercial and it plays the entire commercial, and it's ridiculous.
It's not a good movie, guys. Don't.
No, it's really bad.
I know last time we made the joke that pretty much every episode is like, "Yeah, this movie, you should watch it. You should check it out." I honestly don't think you should check this movie out.
This is really bad. This is like, if this is your first Ken Russell movie, I implore you to watch more. He's got better stuff. The Devils. Strong recommend. We did not watch that. We should have.
And I have not seen it, so
yeah,
I have not seen that one.
I think it's from 1971. I want to say it's really good. The Lair of the White Woman is not. So
you just said The Lair of the White Woman.
I've heard it both ways. White worm wasted.
Is that going to be the name of the episode? You flubbing the title of the movie and calling it The Lair of the White Woman?
Yeah, sure. And speaking of white women,
I guess that title, The Lair of the White Woman, kind of applies to both movies in a way.
Yeah.
I think that's a good segue into Crime of Passion.
Crimes of Passion, Ken Russell's 1984 movie. It is an erotic thriller starring Kathleen Turner and Anthony Perkins. That's right. Norman Bates is in this fucking movie.
That's right.
And it was part of the Criterion erotic thrillers collection. There were some other movies on there that were pretty cool. There was this one movie with the very attractive 90s actress who Machen Amick from Twin Peaks, called what was it called? Dream Lover. Also kind of bad, but not unwatchable. It's got James Spader. It was directed by Elia Kazan's son. So that's pretty cool. But Crimes of Passion, what did you think?
I mean, this is kind of why I said this might be a Cody heavy episode. I don't know what I think of that movie. Like I don't know if I even really enjoyed the movie. It had some moments where I was like just laughing because it was like, what the hell's going on? It was a very weird. It was kind of like the dream sequences in The Lair of the White Worm, but like the entire length of the movie.
So that's a decent way to put it.
It was very strange, I guess to put it simply.
Yeah, and Ken Russell is kind of the king of like very bizarre, like he's in the vein of like Paul Verhoeven. He's one of these like European art directors that's like, what the fuck? But like Verhoeven has more of he has the ability to go like commercial and American with like RoboCop and stuff.
Yeah.
Ken Russell does not have that ability.
I think I can tell.
And he's very much a like, you're with him or you're not. And with this movie, I was actually with him. I really liked it. It's about a woman who is a fashion designer, which is like the most erotic thriller job, fashion designer.
Right.
It's also the most like giallo job, which I think erotic thrillers have a lot of like relationship to giallo movies like Blood and Black Lace, and I don't know if you watched any of the Argento movies I showed, but they happen in like a lot of times in fashion houses. There's this one movie I haven't seen called Eyes of Laura Mars, which was directed by Irvin Kershner, the Empire director.
Okay.
Empire Strikes Back, I mean. And written by John Carpenter. Supposed to be pretty good. It takes place in like the fashion industry from the 70s. But yeah, like working at a fashion house is a very this type of genre kind of job. And she basically just does it as a side gig because she likes to do it. She's like a OnlyFans girl, but like has a day job too. if that tells you what time period we're all in. And she goes to this like red light district basically, I guess on weekends and at night. And this guy, Peter Shane, who is supposedly a reverend, starts because he goes to this same red light district and at least claims to like preach the gospel to the whores and degenerates in the area.
Right.
And he starts getting obsessed with her, and you can really tell they always say that Anthony Perkins was typecast after Psycho. It's pretty clear in here.
Right. Yeah. I like how his character is supposed to be a reverend that is trying to like stop all these sinners from sinning. And like the first shot of his character is like this room where a woman just dances naked in the center of it, and then there are like a bunch of, we'll just call them pods, like circling around her.
It's a peep show is what it's called.
Yeah. And it's just dudes whacking off.
Yeah.
Just watching this lady. And he's in one of these pods, and the first shot you see of him, I was like, you were like, is that Anthony Perkins?
Is that Anthony Perkins?
And he's just like creepily staring through this like hole, and he's like snorting. I never figured out what he was snorting through the entire movie. Like, what the fuck was he
Wikipedia
snorting?
says amyl nitrate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any fucking nitrate heads out there, tell me what the fuck that is supposed to do.
So,
So
yeah, no idea.
that's
We're not Adam Lair over here. We don't know drugs.
yeah. So like that's the introduction to his character is just a dude snorting something, watching a woman dance naked. And you're like, okay, that's definitely a proper reverend right there.
Yeah.
Uh,
And so he's got a weird like mommy thing, as all Anthony Perkins characters do.
Naturally.
He's got this like a bag full of like sex gizmos, which is so bizarre.
Calling them sex gizmos.
A bag full of sex gizmos is another option for the title.
Yeah.
I mean, just an idea.
He had that fucking vibrator blade thing.
Yeah.
And then
what the fuck was that?
There was also a point in Lair of the White Worm where the serpent lady is like about to like rape the one of the two female leads with like a big fucking. It looked like the same one. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah.
She was wearing like this huge dildo and it looked exactly like the one from this movie. I was like, oh damn, cinematic universe. Or he just had the prop lying around and he's like, we'll use it in this one too.
Gotta get a couple uses out of that one. So the movie actually opens with a kind of an AA meeting. Opens on the kind of the lead male character, Bobby, I think, or is this someone else?
No, it's
it's Bobby,
sure.
Right? That's his name.
Yeah, we'll go with that, Bobby.
Yeah, sure.
It was like a relationship,
group therapy. That's
group therapy kind of thing.
And he's upset about his wife, who's lost interest in sex, but he doesn't reveal this at first. And he it's really funny opening. He starts out saying, "Oh yeah, I'm just here with my friend. I don't really need to say anything." And they like just prod him a little bit, and they're like, "You sure there's nothing you really want to talk about?" And then he's like, "Well, I haven't had sex with my wife in a while," and he goes like 0 to 60 in seconds about sexual frustration.
Yeah.
And so the kind of setup of this movie is the setup of this movie is bringing these two characters together, and it winds up being kind of a romance between the two.
Yeah. The whore and the sexually frustrated guy who ain't getting it. The tale is old as time.
the incel and the whore. The tale is old as time.
Exactly. Are we really gonna call this guy an incel though? Like he's married and has children.
Well, at this point in time, he is involuntarily celibate.
Sure.
I think we have to say it.
Momentarily.
The I don't know, the sexless marriage and the fucking, what do they call it? Homewrecker, the Ariana Grande. Many such cases.
Right.
So a lot of stuff happens. Not all of it makes sense, but
dare say most of it didn't.
I got to the end and I really liked the romance angle of them kind of being brought together, and then he eventually has to get rid of not really get rid of his wife. They just end up divorcing because it's just going to happen.
You have to get rid of her,
which is just divorce,
right? And he doesn't kill of her. He doesn't dispose. He does not dispose of her. He just
they just like grow apart, and it is what it is. And there's these like really like wild scenes of like cookouts with the homies.
Such a weird part.
With Bruce Davison, who's kind of one of those like character actors that like you know his face, but you don't really know his name, and you don't really remember what he's from. But he's been around for a while. He's there, and the Bobby character does this like dance as like a walking penis.
Oh, that made me like cringe watching that. Because I was like, I think I'd murder my entire friend group if that happened to me in real life.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm killing all of you. This is fucking awful.
They were humming the like "Thus Spoke Zarathustra" from 2001.
Ugh, insane.
It was psychotic.
He like tied balls to his fucking ankles.
Yeah,
it was stupid.
And he had milk in his mouth, and when he like got like erect up, he like spit out the milk.
Awful.
Wild movie. What else happens? It's an interesting movie. New World Pictures produced it. That's interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, Roger Corman's company. Maybe he distributed it. Yeah, it looks like he produced it. Oh, so this would have been made for Roger Corman, which is kind of cool. Oh, it makes sense. There's a lot of American actors in there. So
also, I'm just going to point out that it says that one of the production companies was called China Blue Productions, which is the prostitute name of the main character.
Well, yeah, I mean, whenever you make a film, the film is its own entity.
Fair enough.
As like a business, so that's where that comes from, generally.
Okay. Also, this was I was just looking at the Wikipedia that I noticed something that that we had noticed when we watched the movie, that the cinematographer's name was Dick Bush.
Yeah, same guy in Lair of the White Worm. And he must have been like Ken Russell's go-to cinematographer.
Yep.
The movies look good. I like the look of them. I will
agree. It did look very nice. The lighting of especially the red light district itself had a lot of really interesting visual kind of stuff going on with the way that the different rooms were lit. It definitely felt I don't even know what the word I'm going for here is. Like there's always like this perception of like, it's like how New York is portrayed in movies in the 80s where it's like a war zone. There's like spray paint everywhere and like flaming barrels, and it's like, was New York actually like that?
From what I hear, it was pretty close in the 70s.
Yeah, so it's like it kind of gave me that vibe. It's just like, this is just a fucking depraved town.
It's very Taxi Driver. The few shots that are used, because it's there's not a lot of exteriors. A lot of stuff happens indoors. Now that I'm thinking about it,
a place where you never get harmed. There's the SpongeBob reference for this one.
There it is. There it is. Indoors. But yeah, it seems like it wasn't your cup of tea, but I actually really like this movie. It felt more in line with his kind of filmmaking in The Devils, which again you haven't seen, so you wouldn't have that context.
Right.
Not so sort of with subject matter, but just like he has kind of if De Palma is more controlled and regal, which is a little strong to say about a De Palma movie, but compared to Ken Russell, Ken Russell is like chaos, and I kind of like that about it. It's a nice like yang to like a formalist yin of like a Polanski or a De Palma.
Sure.
So I don't know. I really liked it. I thought it was a cool movie. I would definitely recommend Crimes of Passion. And of course,
I would say of the two movies, I would say check out Crimes of Passion. It like I said, it wasn't really my kind of movie, but it did have some moments that were pretty good.
The sex in this one's actually kind of hot. the sex in the Lair of the White Worm was like just kind of weird.
Yeah, it was pretty weird.
There's that one scene in Crimes of Passion where like she's getting chased by this like fat old guy, and you think he's gonna rape her, and then at the end the punchline is that like he was, but it was like part of like the fantasy, so it was like rape play or whatever.
I don't know if I'd call that hot.
I'm not saying that one was hot.
It was just your example immediately after saying it, so
well,
fair enough.
You know, fair. Not so much that it's that one's hot, but this was kind of funny to give you the Ken Russell sense of humor.
Right.
It was like a shock to the system because you think she's like actually getting chased, and then at the end, the guy's like, "Oh, I'm getting too old for this. You gotta run a little slower next time." And she's like, "Well, maybe I'll rape you next time." Weird movie. I liked it.
Yeah. The way that they shot and lit the scene where she's running away, it almost felt like this is gonna sound weird. It almost felt like a musical, the way she was overacting in her like sneaking around and like I don't know. It felt overacted to the point where I mean, obviously it was overacted because she was pretending in character to be running away.
Yeah.
But like the way that it was shot, it felt very theatrical to the point of like reminding me of a musical.
Yeah, and Ken Russell is a very like theater kid kind of director, even though he was like in the military and shit.
Yeah.
He has another pretty famous movie based on a D.H. Lawrence novel called Women in Love, which is supposed to be pretty good, but I haven't seen it. But yeah, that's Ken Russell. Not a favorite episode of Joe right now, but I'd recommend Crimes of Passion. Lair of the White Worm is pretty terrible. So, just want to make sure that's clear.
Pretty terrible.
Really bad.
We're making progress on the podcast because last episode was like we were talking negatively about the ending of Pulse.
Yeah.
It's like oh man, this is kind of a first for us where we're overwhelmingly negative on a particular subject of a movie. And then the next episode is like, no, that movie was ass. That was not good.
And that's not even entirely true because we were a little negative on Audition when we watched it after reading the book.
But you're right.
When I remember.
Yeah, I guess.
But Audition's still good.
Yeah, Audition is still like a good movie. It's just like one of the things where like the book was just so much. There was so much more character that the movie just didn't have it in it to give you the full depth of the character that you got in the actual book.
Right.
But yeah, you said that Anthony Perkins was typecast, and like the point where in this movie we were like, okay, come on now. It was like right at near the end when Bobby shows up to her name is Joanne. He shows up to Joanne's apartment and he hears her yelling for help in the apartment. And I guess this is kind of like a callback to something he had said way earlier in the movie, was that he used to be a quarterback. And then he just starts like slamming into the door like with his shoulder. Yeah. It was like,
yeah, he even does like the hut hike kind of thing.
He like smashes through the door and he sees Joanne sitting in a chair and he goes up to her and it turns out to be Reverend Peter Shane, aka Anthony Perkins, wearing her outfit.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like that's literally just the exact like he had like to have known.
This feels cruel at this point to Anthony Perkins.
I mean, obviously, it was like he had to have known that Anthony Perkins was typecast, and then thought it would have been really funny to literally just say, and then you jump out at the end in a woman's clothing.
Anthony Perkins is like, you fucking kidding me?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then he gets stabbed to death
by a dildo
with the
vibrator,
the big metal
it is.
dildo.
Yeah. Killed
Wild.
by a vibrator.
Yeah.
It's like a Mel Brooks movie.
That
X-rated Mel Brooks movie.
Right.
Yeah. Don't have much else beyond that. This is going to be a short one, unless you got anything else.
Not really, no.
All right. We'll be back next week. We're recording this on Thursday. I'm going on a trip. Going to Los Angeles. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
So we're recording a little early. And I don't know what we'll do next.
I was about to say, did we decide what we were doing next? Or you know what it was? William Friedkin died very recently, the last few days. And
I think yesterday.
Was it yet? It can't be. It was. What the fuck?
Or was it Monday? I don't know. I don't know what time is.
He died on the 7th, so 3 days ago.
Okay, yeah, I have no concept of time.
Right, of course. So, his passing, may he rest in peace, the absolute king that he was.
Yeah.
And I think the idea is to do 2 William Friedkin movies next week. What ones we do, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I kind of want to do The Exorcist, but I kind of want to do the Blatty novel with The Exorcist if we get to that. Because I want to read that book.
Sure. Maybe we'll do The Exorcist and the book at a later time, and then just find 2 other Friedkin movies to do. We're just planning out the future of the podcast in the recording right now. So
yeah, this is very meta, very avant-garde.
Yeah.
I've got a couple Friedkin movies. There's I have French Connection and To Live and Die in L.A. Do you own any? Or
no, I don't own any.
Okay. You might have to buy them, or maybe rent them and watch them, because I have like 3 or 4, and I can't really stream them because I don't have a DVD player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll figure something
All right.
out.
We'll be back next week. Thanks for joining us.
Yep. Tune in next time. See ya.
We're recording this after the episode. Side note here on the whole podcast service thing. I am an idiot, and I thought that we could just upload 16 episodes in 1 month, and that would be fine, right? It's not. It's not that big a deal, but for now, just continue watching on YouTube. I talked about it on Twitter. I don't think anyone saw it because it didn't get any engagement on it. It's fine. The problem is that the Libsyn service that I'm using only allows for a certain amount of storage per month, and it'll reset at the end of the month. And by then, I think we'll be able to get the rest of the backlog up that we're building up now, and then we should be back on track then. I hope. If we have to take like a week off or something just to let that go through, so we don't have to deal with this again, we might do that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if it's at the point where it let you upload 16 episodes in a single like session, I guess, because you did them all at once.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. But
it should be good to do like the 4 episodes for the 4 weeks of September plus the 4 episodes for the weeks of in August.
Yeah, it should be fine. But if it's not, we'll figure something out.